we won't broadcast it publicly. And last but not least, our activity report will be published on our website as of this afternoon, so feel free to browse. Anyway, without further ado, first of all, welcome Wim Geens, Managing Director of Fost Plus. You started in January 2022, so 2021 is looking back for you. How do you look back on this year?
Well, thank you, Valerie. First of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you for attending this live webinar regarding our results of the year 2021. As you all know, of course, Fost Plus is playing a major role already during 25 years within the circular economy in Belgium. That's the first thing, of course, I have and I want to stress. 2021, as Valerie said, looking back, was a year also very rich of projects overall, whether in terms of the unique sorting, let's say, message and the new blue bag, but also with other projects like, for example, the click, which we enrolled in 2021 any further. We did some projects regarding as well the collection, but also with our partners regarding sorting and recycling, let's say. And that was also, of course, an important part of what we did during the year 21. When you look at the result, and you can see it on the slide as well, we have an amazing result, overall recycling rate of 89.8%, which is amazing. Certainly when you know that it's calculated within the new calculation method, which will be explained, of course, later on within this webinar. So that's a very good result that I can say it's much better than last year even, and we remain on top within Europe and even within the world, I would say. So it's of course important as well that everyone is participating within our system. So it's important that every citizen, every consumer is participating and working together with us to contribute to a cleaner and a better world overall. But also you, of course, our members are very important because you put on the market as much as you can recyclable packaging, and you want to use, of course, as much as you can, and where it can be used, recyclable content as well. Now, as I said before, innovation is a major part, is a major cornerstone, in fact, of everything we do within Fost Plus. And so this is driving us to our success, and so this remains for us a key success factor moving forward.
Thank you, Wim. You already mentioned it. It all starts with the consumer and their sorting habits. Thanks to the new blue bag, we made it easier for them than ever. Mick van Gaver, COO at Fost Plus. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, of course, Valerie. So we offer an efficient and user-friendly collection scheme to all citizens. So we collect three main flows: paper, cardboard in a curbside collection, glass by means of a bring system, bottle banks, and last but not least, the P&D fraction, the blue bag. And there we have the biggest innovation, of course. We extended the sorting message for the blue bag, and we accept all plastic packaging in the blue bag since 2019 already, but it was a gradual upscaling. So we rolled out the new blue bag over the last 2 years across the whole country, starting in 2019, and by October 2021, the last intermunicipal authority, Idelux, the province of Luxembourg, has joined the system. So today we have a uniform sorting message across the whole country. So every citizen, the 11.5 million citizens, can sort according to the same sorting message everywhere in Belgium. Some figures, you can see them on the slide. So in 2021, we collected on average 21.4 kilo per inhabitant per year of new blue bag material. That means a total of about 246,000 tons of material collected. Once all the local authorities will be on full speed, once we come in a steady state, we hope to collect about 8 kilograms per inhabitant per year, and we are quite confident that we will reach that goal. We see in some intercommunales who collect already more than 1 year the new blue bag that we surpass these 8 kilo per inhabitant per year additional volume. Of course, this has a very positive impact on the environment. We estimate that the extension of the sorting message saves about 100,000 tons of CO2 every year. So these 8 kilograms additional plastic correspond to about 100,000 tons saving of CO2. Concerning the overall plastic packaging recycling rate in 2021, we reached a 52% recycling rate, and this rate has been calculated with the new method, the new European calculation method, but Laurence will explain later on. So that's about collection, but of course the sorting message has become much more complicated. The material is more complex to sort, so we really needed a new infrastructure to sort this complex flow. We organized call for projects over the last years. We signed contracts with 5 state-of-the-art sorting plants. You can see them on the slide. So 2 of them are fully private investments in the Flemish region. Indaver, located between Brussels and Antwerp, was the first one that went into operation in the beginning of 2021. Second one in the port of Ghent, called Prezero. That's the biggest sorting plant in Belgium. Started operation in spring 2021. Then in July, Valtris followed. That's a public investment near Charleroi in Couillet. In November, Valup, public-private collaboration, started operations, and for the moment the 5th one is still under construction. It's called Citel, and will start operations by the end of this year near Liège. All these sorting centers, they use the latest technology, so it's really state-of-the-art technology. It's a combination of mechanical sorting, densimetric sorting, and also optical sorting. So all the sorting plants use near-infrared detection technology to detect the different plastic polymers and to sort them out in an automatic way. The 5 plants will all sort 14 fractions. 4 of them do it already today. They sort 14 different fractions out of the new blue bag. And by the end of this year, we will add already a new fraction. So we continue to innovate and to improve the system. As from the 1st of January 2023. We will also sort PET opaque bottles, which is quite new in Europe. I don't think everywhere else it is sorted. But of course, there is still margin for improvement. We conducted a survey amongst the population to try to understand how good the people understand the sorting message and how good they sort the different packagings into the new blue bag. And we see that there is still a margin for improvement. For example, packaging that is used in a context of a bathroom, like metal aerosols or toothpaste tubes, but also plastic detergent bottles for shampoo, etc. We see that the capture rate is still lower compared to packaging that is generated in a kitchen environment. So we really have to continue to communicate and to create awareness. We are not yet there yet, but we try to improve the understanding of the sorting message every day.
Thank you, Mick. We saw it. Those sorting centers are absolutely state-of-the-art. But it doesn't stop there. We continue to innovate all along the recycling chain. And Laurence Havren, CFO at Fost Plus, you brought an innovation project regarding artificial intelligence.
Indeed. Thank you, Valerie. As Wim and Mick mentioned it before, innovation is a key driver and a key point at Fost Plus. But we don't innovate just for the beauty of the sake of innovation. We innovate because it brings value, and it brings value or on the operational excellence and our operations as a whole, or it brings value because it opens new doors and new opportunities. In this specific case of artificial intelligence, of course, we saw that using artificial intelligence for our sorting activities could bring value, because sorting is one of our core activities. So we proposed to one of our partners, so Indaver in Willebroek, Mick just shown it on the map, to participate to this pilot and to this project. Concretely, we aim at optimizing the sorting process, and we put a camera on the sorting bands to detect errors in the material. So the objective is indeed to detect material that shouldn't be there, and to train the machine and the camera so that next time the camera can indeed identify material that shouldn't be there. So of course it's a new technology, it's a new project, so we still have some improvement and fine-tuning to do, and we are working on it with our teams, our development team, our technical team, but also with the partner. We are convinced that innovation, digitalization can help us all, so Fost Plus, but also our partners, to improve the process. So we will continue to work on this, and it will help us to meet our high standards, monitor our process, and adjust where and if necessary somewhere in the chain.
Thank you, Laurence. Better and more specific sorting leads to better recycling, and that is the next step in the process. We recycle ever more packaging in Belgium, and 2021 was a very important year. Can you tell us more about that, Wim?
Yes, indeed. Since many years we recycle already a lot of packaging within Belgium. Nothing leaves Europe today, and today if we look at the figures, 80% is recycled within Belgium, and as you can see on the map, the rest is recycled in the neighboring countries like the Netherlands, Germany, France and Spain. And so that is already very important, but if you look at the figures for plastic packaging, then we see rather low figures. In the year of 2020, only 9% of the plastic packaging material was recycled within Belgium. In the year 2021, it was already 12%, but of course that's not enough, so we needed to improve. And that's why we decided, of course, a couple of years ago to install these recycling centers on Belgian territory. And we created long-term contracts with some partners in order to of course, secure the investments they had to make. And that's what is going on at this moment. When we see what we already did, then we see that we have some agreements with ECO, for example. If you look at the first plant, it's ECO Houthalen Helchteren, which is already running today, and this is for the recycling of mixed plastics and mixed PO. The next one, which started in fact last week, is also a plant of ECO in Beringen, and the plant of ECO in Beringen is a plant for film-to-film recycling. And as I said, it started last week, so it will be up and running as from September this year. The third contract we agreed upon is a contract with Filao, and Filao is with the partners Sursalma and Veolia, and there we will install let's say a factory in Charleroi for pet-to-pet or bottle-to-bottle recycling, I should say. And then the last one indeed, or did I miss one? I missed one. We had an agreement also in the end of 2021 for Moped, which will be a factory for tray-to-tray recycling, and that will be a factory which will be installed in Neuchâtel, and it will be up and running also by the end of 2024. And then we have a fifth one, and that's a contract which we will grant within the upcoming weeks or the upcoming months, let's say, and that's for high density PE or MPP fractions. So that's what we did up until now. And so if we look at the total volume, we can see that we already installed now 157,000 tons within Belgium, and so that is enough, or that is enough for 75%, let's say, of the total volume that we are collecting in Belgium overall within our new blue bag. So when you see that we come from 12% now up to 75% by the end of 2024, that's a huge step up, let's say. And this, of course, creates or gives a lot of advantages when you create these factories or these recycling centers here in Belgium. First of all, we reduce, of course, CO2 by not having this transport abroad. Secondly, we create, of course, a lot of jobs, and then of course it's clear that we keep, of course, this material for the Belgian market and for our own industry, which is, of course, also a very big advantage.
Thank you, Wim. It is the ambition of Fost Plus to collect, sort and recycle all packaging that comes onto the market. But in order to do so, packaging has to be compatible with that recycling chain. Steven Boesemare, Director Innovation and Business Development at Fost Plus. We have already come a long way, but there's still some progress to make. How are we dealing with that?
Well, thank you, Valerie. Well, design for recycling, in our view, it's about creating or improving packaging in view of better recycling. It's a fact that we have a common ambition. We have an ambitious target to look for or to have a recycling solution for every packaging that is put on the market by our members by 2025. Now, if you express that in figures, we're talking about 2 to 2.5% of the total quantity of packaging that is put on the market by our members. This is a quantity between 15,000 and 20,000 tons of packaging, part of which is considered by the authorities as obstructive packaging because they are obstructive in the processes of sorting and recycling. Now, how do we tackle this subject? Where there are two main things we do. First hand is, of course, starting from the technical evolutions there are, the evolution in the field of sorting of waste and recycling of waste. Of course, packaging that today is not recyclable can be recyclable in the future. And this is what we have seen with the opaque PET bottles, already mentioned by Mick some minutes ago. This is a new fraction. It's going to be sorted out as from 2023 because we have found a recycling solution for that specific fraction. But the second way in which to tackle the design for recycling issue is, of course, to work together with our members, to work together with the sectoral federations of our members. And that's going into the detail of the data our members declare to us. So thorough data analysis of the XL and the L members and the large and extra large members through our segmented approach, and to look into their declaration and to identify the packaging that is not recyclable. Go into a discussion with the members, try to figure out a roadmap to transform the non-recyclable packaging into recyclable packaging, and in that way working together to get to that ambitious target to have a recycling solution for every packaging by 2025. So this is what we're doing. Individual consultation, individual expertise and aid we are driving, and of course also specific aid for specific product categories which are there, and some general guidelines. Now, a very specific project of which I'm quite proud of and that we did in 2021 was Pack It Better. Pack It Better was a platform, a knowledge platform which we developed together with our colleagues from Valipak, who are responsible, as you know, for industrial packaging waste. And so the initiative started from the fact that there is a lot of information that's available about design for recycling. There is a lot of information that's available about eco-design, but it's very fragmented on the one hand, and on the other hand, it's not always very specific for the Belgian situation. And so we know that a lot of companies, members of Fost Plus, are looking for answers. And so this platform is bringing together, on the one hand, knowledge centers, and on the other hand, companies who have specific questions concerning recyclability of packaging, concerning eco-design. And so through this platform, they can ask questions. And through the platform, of course, those answers are given and companies are put into contact with different knowledge centers that are present on our packaging eco-design hub. Now, of course, what's also important is to have very specific guidelines. And we have developed some specific guidelines in 2021. They are here on the screen. One of them is just a general rule: try to use as much as monomaterials packaging and single layers. Try to avoid packaging where a lot of materials are combined and which are not separable one from another. Another one is detectability. Detectability at the level of a sorting center. And the most common example of this is black packaging. Optical sorting machines in those sorting centers, they in most cases cannot detect black packaging. So that's something to take into account, because black packaging is in a lot of cases is going to residual waste, which is of course a shame in view of realizing the circular economy. Thirdly, is specifically concerning the use of fiber-based packaging. And there the general rule is please pay attention to the fact that if you are going to coat that fiber-based material, please do it on one side, because in the paper mill, the water has to have access to the fibers, and the fibers have to be detached from the coating material. Fourth is compostable packaging. Compostable packaging, unfortunately, doesn't belong into the PMD bag, because if it ends up into the recycling process, then it can harm that recycling process. And last but not least, pay attention to the usage of inks if you print on the packaging, and also to adhesives, for instance, if you attach a label to a packaging. Altogether, we realized a number of specific projects with our members, and I brought some examples to show this. One of the examples is, for instance, this packaging of our member Nestlé. And it's not about the packaging itself, but it's about the lid. The lid was previously in a black polypropylene, and the result was that in the sorting centers, when it ended up on the sorting belts, this was not sorted and ended, in most cases, it ended up in the residual waste. Now that it is a clear brown, it is detected and it ends up in the polypropylene fraction and is hence recycled. Now, a second example I brought for you is this sweet, this nice sweet. Everybody might like it, where the packaging beforehand, it was a pot with a multi-material. It was a combination of plastics and fibers, non-separable, and so, as I explained before, it was not sorted, it was not recycled. Now, it has been transformed, on the one hand, in a PET cup, perfectly recyclable when it ends up in the blue bag. And there is a specific fraction that's sorted out for this type of material, and with a cardboard sleeve that holds the two pots. Cardboard, of course, is commonly recycled through our paper cardboard fraction. So two specific examples which show that we are making progress, but there is still a lot of more progress to be made, and I call upon all the members to help us and to jointly realize that very ambitious target to have a recycling solution for every packaging by 2025.
Thank you, Steven. You already touched upon the topic of the annual declaration, and in February of this year you all used for the first time our new platform MyFost. MyFost is part of a larger innovation and digitalization process, and this is really a milestone. Laurence, why is this so important?
Well, Valerie, it's very important because we want to have, through MyFost, a view on the global market of the packaging, so on the member side and on the partner side. So on the partner side, we already had MyFost, but indeed our main achievement of this year, of last year, but used effectively this year, is to have the MyFost on the member side. And this will indeed enable us to have, and as Steven mentioned it, to have accurate figures and accurate data on all the packaging and from all our members. And of course, we know we are in a complex ecosystem with many different stakeholders, many different members with different needs. So we've tried in the building of Fost to take into account all these needs and to come with as easy of use as possible solution. So that's why we actually used digitalizations, so to make the life of our members easier where possible, and also have an agile platform where we have near real-time data regarding the packaging market. So that's why digitalization is so important for our members and for us. You have there the visualization of a dashboard coming out of Fost. We know we have still some improvement to do because it's normal. We have implemented a tool, an important tool. All the teams have worked quite hard since 3 years to come there. We know we have to improve things. We have been asking our members to give feedback, suggestion, remarks, and we are currently analyzing everything to see what is possible to implement. We can already confirm that on reporting and dashboarding side, we are working hard for now. And we will be implementing some enhanced and enriched reporting by the end of this year, in Q4 of this year. So this will help our members also to have a better view on their packaging, their results, and also maybe to make a link with the topic of Steven, to identify the packaging for which there is still some work to do, as Steven mentioned it. So with this view, it should help our members to identify the focus area to work on and try to meet our objective of the packaging, 100% packaging by 25.
Thank you, Laurence. So we haven't only innovated behind the scenes in the back office, but we continue to innovate all along the recycling chain. And Mick, you brought an interesting example regarding transportation.
Yes, indeed, Valerie. So innovation concerns the whole chain of the circular economy, including transportation. So with this innovation project, we try to take trucks from the road and replace them by transportation over water. We work together with 4 partners. First of all, Limburg Net, which is the intermunicipal authority responsible for the collection of the new blue bag in the province of Limburg. Also with Bionerga. Bionerga is a partner in the new polyethylene film recycling plant that Wim already mentioned, so ECO in Beringen, which is also in the province of Limburg. Then the third partner was Indaver, a sorting plant in Willebroek, who is sorting the new blue bag. And the fourth partner is Multimodal Vlaanderen. Multimodal Vlaanderen is an expert in transportation over water. And so with these partners, we have set up this innovation project. And the main objective, of course, is to save CO2, less trucks on the road, but not only save CO2, also improve the mobility, which is quite a hot topic in a dense country such as Belgium. Now, what were the results of this project? So today, on average, every week there are 9 so-called walking floor trucks driving from Beringen to the sorting plant Indaver. So every week 9 trucks on the road, on the highway. And by putting this volume on a boat, we can save 21 trucks. So one boat transport equals about 21 truck journeys, which is quite considerable. We estimate that the reduction of CO2 just by one load is about 70% or 900 kilo of CO2. It's still in a test phase, so we are not there yet. There is still quite some work to do, but it's quite the results are quite promising, and there are a lot of advantages, and it's fully in phase with our ambition concerning the circular economy in Belgium.
Thank you, Mick. We have talked about packaging that we use and consume at home, but changes in our lifestyle and a more nomadic lifestyle also make that we consume more and more packaging out of home, on the go and in the workplace. After COVID-19 today, we can say that finally things are getting back to normal. However, collecting packaging in those diverse environments presents us with challenges. That's why we have a target in our collection of PMD out of home. Steven, did we reach it?
Well, indeed, we have a very ambitious target. In fact, by 2023, we need to collect 26,000 tons of PMD that's coming out of the out-of-home market, as we call it. And compared to the 14,000 ton which were collected in 2018, this makes it almost double the quantities in 5 years' time. And so we set ourselves some intermediate targets which up until now have been reached, and the same was the case for 2021. In 2021, we needed to capture 22 kilotons of PMD out of home, which is an increase of 3,000 tons compared to 2020, and this despite the difficult COVID situation that we still encountered in 2021. Now, how did we reach this? Well, this was in the first place to target companies, sorting in companies. And there, despite the fact that sorting in companies is an obligation since numerous years, on the field we see that a lot of companies still do not sort their PMD or do not sort PMD properly. And so we are there to help them improve the sorting or to help them install the sorting of PMD. And it's a fact, if we look at the figures that were generated by our colleagues of Valipack, who made some analysis of the residual waste of companies, in general there is about 50% in weight of the content of that residual waste that is still recyclable, and amongst which there is of course also PMD. So what we also know is that private waste contractors, they already perform some kind of sorting operations on that residual waste. And so they get out, in most cases, a lot of metal packaging that in a lot of cases is also household packaging, and which is then recycled by those private waste contractors, private waste operators, and is declared to Fost Plus. But one project I'm particularly proud of in 2021 is a project that we conducted together with the colleagues of Valipack. And in fact, our colleagues at Valipack, they get a lot of data from the private waste operators, those partners with whom Fost Plus also has a contractual relation for the collection of PMD in companies. And so Valipack gets a lot of data, and thorough analysis of that data by Valipack, it allows us to make lists of companies where there are indications, at least, that the sorting of PMD is not yet in place because, for instance, they do not have a sorting contract for the collection of PMD with their private waste contractor. And so, working together with Valipack managed or allowed us to create a list of about 60,000 companies that all received a mailing from us, a mailing in which we invited the company to take up contact with us or with their private waste contractor to sign a contract and to install sorting into their company. And this was a project that was launched in April of last year. And what we saw is that in the second half of the year, we saw a very sharp increase on the one hand in the quantities of PMD that were collected in companies, so sharp increase into our statistics. And secondly, this was confirmed by the fact that our private waste operators, our partners, they said that they were signing hundreds of new contracts with clients of them to get the PMD, to get that PMD collected in their offices. So this is a campaign that we are going to relaunch. So after summer, of 2022, we are going to reiterate, and we are creating, right now, we're creating a new list of companies which we will target. Now, of course, if we're talking about out of home, we're also talking about the very visual events, occasions, and there, of course, a lot of those initiatives were on the back burner in 2021 due to the COVID situation. Football games, they were organized, but without any public, so there wasn't any consumption. At the same time, we tried to look for some examples where we still could do something, and one of those things was, for instance, the continuation and the expansion of the project we launched in 2020, which was Keep on Sorting at Your Staycation campaign, where we target specifically amusement parks and holiday parks there to increase recycling, to increase the sorting of PMD. But at the same time, we used 2021 to prepare for 2022, and so 2022 will be the year where we will target events where we have been preparing a specific offering for sorting in hospitals, where we ran a couple of pilot projects. We're also looking at petrol stations and many other facilities, many other locations where there is a lot of PMD waste that's being generated in that out-of-home context. Now, last but not least, we went even further in 2021 by looking at how can we extract from a stream like the public waste bin, how can we extract recyclable material? Because in a sense, what is to be found in a public waste bin, it's a leakage from the circular economy. We know that there's a lot of material in there, a lot of PMD that is recyclable. And so we asked ourselves the question, how could we make something out of this material? And so together with one of our partners, Bruco Containers, we set up a pilot project in about some 10 municipalities where we sorted out the public waste bins. And the result was there. And not only it was technically feasible to sort out the PMD, we also managed to recover about 20% of PMD out of those public waste bins. So 20%, all that material went on to be sorted in the sorting centers of PMD, where also the household PMD is sorted. And so we stopped, in that sense, the leakage for the circular economy. And in 2021, we even want to go further and trying to experiment with sorting out even more fractions, for instance, paper cardboard fractions, which is also visibly present in those public waste bins. So these are the plans in 2022 to continue this and to go even further in recovering recyclable material.
Thank you, Steven. When we talk about packaging consumed out of home, we inevitably come to the topic of litter. And despite many efforts made by many parties including Mooimakers and BWAP, amongst others, there is not yet a sustainable solution to fight litter. In 2020, we launched a project called The Click. In 2021, we expanded and elaborated on that project. Wim, where are we today?
Well, indeed, Valerie, excuse me, as you said, it's a new innovation again. We already had some examples, but The Click is also an innovation which started, as you said, in 2020. So it's a digital tool which everyone can use anywhere, let's say, to reduce litter. And it's a digital tool, and it's based on the principles of nudging. And nudging is, in fact, trying to move people to show the right behavior. And in this case, it's rewarding people, in fact, for positively, in fact, to sort in the right way. And it's making, in fact, the mental click. That's what we try to do. So it's about changing behavior, let's say. And it's an easy tool, and I think everyone already knows, but for some who don't know, I will explain briefly. It's in fact an app on your smartphone which you can download easily. And when you open the app, you can just scan the barcode of the litter you pick up, or you can take a picture if you don't have any barcode, or you don't see any barcode anymore, and then you throw it in the right bin, of course. And by doing so, you receive some circular U coins, and these circular U coins is a value. It's a value which you can exchange, in fact, by within local shops, with which we work together. And so it's a win-win situation, because everyone who picks up litter increases, in fact, his buying power, but also, on the other hand, these local shops attract new clients by doing so. So it's a win-win for everyone, and of course, we collect more, let's say, material, and we diminish, in fact, the litter overall where it's overall present, let's say. Besides that, we can also create communities with this tool, which is very easy as well, and you can use it within municipalities, but also within, of course, companies or other ways to use these communities. Now, if we look on where we are today, as said before, we started in 2020. We started in the Haan, but then, of course, due to COVID, as already several times said before, we had to reboot, in fact, in 2021, and then we expanded the tool to some other cities like Antwerp, Namen, but also Middelkerke, Blankenberge, and of course this year as well we started in the region of Brussels, within the city of Anderlecht as well. But we're working together, besides that, also with some other events, let's say, which are also important, because a lot of people are within these events or contributing within these events. And so we work together with the Eneco Clean Beach Cup, and also on the UCI World Championship bicycling in Belgium, which was organized last year as well. There we work together on a very visible way, on a highly visible way, together with the Click as well. But besides these let's say, events, we also work together with our partners, with you all. And so we have some partnerships already up and running with companies like Coca-Cola and L'Oréal. But of course, we want to attract more companies, and we want to attract, of course, all of you on participating on this new tool, the Click. But also, besides that, we work with other, let's say, companies or organizations like Natuurpunt Vlaanderen, which is also an important one, of course, to fight against litter. Now, if we look at the results, we see that in June 2022, we already had 23,500 people who actively used the Click, and we already had 52,000 clicks overall. And by the end of summer, beginning of autumn, we will reach the 100,000 clicks overall. That's our first goal. Second goal, excuse me, is the extension of the Click over the entire territory of Belgium. And it's fully in line, I would say, with the anti-litter policy, with our overall policy within Fost Plus, because we want to capture as many packaging as possible. So it's in fact existing together, and besides all our already high-performing systems. So that's what I wanted to say, Valerie.
Thank you, Wim. We've seen by now a number of interesting projects and promising innovations, and they all contributed to that impressive recycling rate of almost 90%. We've mentioned it before, for the first time the recycling data has been calculating according to the new European calculation method and the new guidelines. Laurence, there are shifts in the recycling data. How does this impact us?
Well, Valerie, yeah, just to come back on the fact that everything we have presented and shared today, all the projects and the initiatives have actually the same goal and objective, actually reaching our recycling targets and surpassing if possible. So when we look at the results of 21, I think we can all be very proud of these results because we are above target for most of the materials. For the other ones, we still have a bit of work to do, and we still have a bit of time to work on this. But maybe, to point out some results on plastics. I think Mick already mentioned these results in his presentation. So we are above the 50% target from European, at European level, and yeah, maybe the for the one asking themselves, okay, how can we have recycling rates above 100%? It's yeah, because we have some fellow citizens going to France or yeah, other region, but France, for example, and yeah, to come back with some wine, champagne, and so on. So for glass, for example, it's explained that we have figures above the 100%, and we have also, unfortunately, companies that are not members of Fost Plus, but that brought or that brings, sorry, materials and products on the market. So the combination of those two explain that we can be indeed above the 100% for some of the materials. So regarding the methodology, so as mentioned by Valérie and Mick, there have been some changes imposed by Europe. So Europe tries to have a uniform playing field in terms of regulation, which can be a good thing, but which has indeed impact on the methodology and on the calculation for us. So what is different? Before the calculation of the recycling rates were done for glass and paper at the time of the transfer of the materials towards the recyclers, and for the PMD at the exit of the sorting center. So a bit sooner in the chain. So now the recycling figures are calculated further in the chain, meaning that we have somewhere loss in the process, and we have to take into account moisture's residue label. So new parameters that that were not in the calculation before. So that's the change now. The good news is that in Belgium we have quite qualitative and high quality materials, thanks also to the sorting actions of our citizens. So it means that these losses in the process shouldn't impact so much our figures, thanks to the high quality of our material. So we can again be proud of this and be quite sure that we won't have so many impact on our figures.
Thank you, Laurence. We are nearly at the end of our webinar, so before I give the floor back to you and let you all ask all your questions, I'm going to turn to Wim and ask him if we look forward, what does the future behold for us?
Well, the future is exciting, that's for sure, and we have the extension, of course, first of all, of the extended producer's responsibility regarding to littering, which is coming soon by by January 23. So that's a huge step we have to make, I would say, because the cost of littering will be attributed, of course, to all of the producers. And we try, of course, to work together with all of our stakeholders in order to improve littering and to work together to reduce littering and to capture, of course, then as much packaging as possible. Because litter is more than packaging, but packaging is the visible part of course, of littering, and that's annoying, but that's the case. And so, but every packaging, of course, that got lost into litter is a packaging that got lost for the circular economy as well, and that's why it's so important for us, because we have to, of course, close the gap, bridge the gap between the 90 and the 100%. And so capture these materials out of litter is one of the tools to do so. So in this case, we have expressed clearly our ambition to play a coordinated role as Fost Plus in order to coordinate and to help effectively use this money and reduce litter and capture as much packaging as possible. But it's also our will, in fact, to go beyond the packaging. So we will also include or try to include non-packaging material like cigarette butts and others. But overall, I would say we must keep our eye on the ball, and we must try and find a recycling solution for every packaging that comes to the market. And we should go further also in sorting at home, out of home. We already talked about it. It's also very important to capture as much material as possible and to find, of course, recyclable solutions for every packaging brought to the market. So every packaging counts, and that's really the baseline of what we try to achieve, and that's why we also made up, in fact, an integrated plan where we bring everything together. So we want, of course, overall to capture 100% of all the packaging that is put on the market. And I think that is clear for everyone that this is our end goal. So still 10% to go. And how will we achieve this? Well, of course, first of all, we want to build on the strengths of the existing systems. We already explained the new blue bag. It's very effective, and so we want to keep it as it is. But besides that, we have to introduce some other tools to capture these remaining, let's say, packaging overall. And we have, first of all, our Green Deal Anders Verpakt, which is to reduce packaging and reuse as much packaging as possible as well. But besides that, indeed, we want to play that coordinated role, which is so important for the fight against littering and the capture of the remainder of the packaging. But besides that, we have other innovative tools, like I told before, which are, for example, the click, but the click will not be sufficient neither. So we need to add some other interesting, innovative, intelligent tools so that we can have a global plan, in fact, to achieve our figure of 100%. And this entire plan on which we're working on as we speak will be underpinned by communication campaigns with sensibilization campaigns. And so we can offer to the market, to everyone, to our members, to you, an integrated plan where we can go further and beyond what we are doing today. Now, it's a very holistic approach, and I know that it's a holistic approach, but I'm sure that we can achieve this all together by working all together. And if we look at Belgium, we wanted to create as well a recycling hub, as we said a couple of years ago. And that's what we're trying to do today. We spoke about the recycling centers, we spoke about the sorting centers, so that's work in progress. So we will be there by the end of 2024. And so then we'll have to take, of course, the next step. And what is important by creating these sorting centers, these recycling centers, is also that we are helping the Belgian economy. We are creating jobs, directly 500 jobs, indirectly 1,000 jobs. So altogether we continue, in fact, to reach and to surpass our Belgian ambitions and our European ambitions, yes indeed. And that's what we want to do, that's what we try to achieve. And so we want to remain, in fact, overall best in class in Europe and in the entire world.
Quite a vision we have for the future. So now I turn back to you and to our questions. We have received a number of them in the chat, and I'm going to try to combine as many as possible to address as many topics as possible. And the first one is for Mick, because it's regarding the sorting message. One of our members asked in the chat, when we talk about consumer doubts, there are the multi-layer pouches made of different materials, among which the metallized particles. Where are we there in the sorting message, and how do we see this evolve?
Yes, so today, if it's just a metallized packaging with a small coating, then the sorting message accepts this packaging. For example, chips packaging is crisp packaging is a good example. But on the other hand, if you have really a layer of aluminium between the plastic layers, a real layer of aluminium, then the sorting message excludes this kind of packaging. So you cannot put them in the blue bag. But of course, for the citizen, it's very difficult to make the difference. So a lot of mistakes are made. So in the sorting plants, we have to deal with it. So yeah, the coated packaging, we can handle that. The multi-layer packaging, when there is a metal layer inside, that gives a lot of problems. So there is work to do. So we really need to work on design for recycling together with our members in order to reduce this kind of packaging in the mix.
Well, talking about design for recycling, you've mentioned before, Steven, when talking about the 5 principles for design for recycling, one of them was pay attention to biodegradable packaging, because today it does not have its place in the PMD bag. Do we have any view on how we see that evolve?
Well, I think the difficulty today is that it's a fact that if it ends up into our PMD sorting, in our PMD bag, and if it ends up on the sorting belts, we're not even sure it gets sorted out. But if it gets sorted out and it ends up in one of our streams, polypropylene, polyethylene, etc., it can really be a nuisance to the recycling process. But the difficulty is that at the same time, because the place where that packaging should be is in fact in the organic waste. But there, on the other hand, you also see that the public authorities, they prohibit putting that kind of packaging into the compostable waste. So you're in a very uncomfortable situation for that type of packaging. And so what we're basically saying is it needs to end up into compostable packaging. But today we cannot allow that type of packaging into our PMD bag because it's really going to hinder recycling processes.
Thank you. So, Laurence, when we talk about financing, in the end, it's the Fost Plus members who are responsible for the recycling chain of their packaging. How do you see that we as Fost Plus can continue to ensure value for money for the consumer in the end?
Well, Valerie, thanks for the question. Yeah, I think that we have demonstrated today that we have quite good results all together. So we as Fost Plus with our members, and also we as Fost Plus with our members and with the citizens. So we can reach these 19% recycling figures as a whole, thanks to all the stakeholders. So it's for me one obvious reason why the citizen also contribute to and must contribute in the future also to our recycling chain. If you translate this into cost, because it's at some point always about money, you can consider that it costs actually 15 euros per inhabitant per year, and you can consider this as an investment in the recycling chain. So saying that, okay, over the last 2 years we have kept these 15 euros investment from our citizens to indeed reach higher recycling rate, that's a good sign that, okay, it's working. And it's working also because we have mentioned it also in the results. We have high quality recycled materials. So it means that, again, our citizens and our fellow citizens have a great impact because thanks to their sorting actions, we can reach these high and good results. So everything they do have impact. Everything our members do have also, of course, impact. And there we have our famous green dot system in which we indeed have the real cost of the global chain, and each member contribute to this chain that we try, and I hope that everybody has seen it today, that we try to optimize and to make more and more efficient, indeed to have a return on investment for all our members and make sure that we are still progressing in achieving our goals.
When we talk about recycling then, one of the questions that we received is, Mick, can you give some examples of what we can already do today, or better said, what the industry can already do today with the recycled materials?
As recycled content, yes.
Yes. Where is it? What do we use it for? What did they use it for?
Yeah, of course you have different applications. Wim explained the new investments in the recycling plants that will become operational on Belgian territory. For example, polyethylene film. The new Eco Beringen plant will recycle the polyethylene film coming out of the blue bag and bring it back into a film application. You can make bags out of it or other film products. Another very nice example is Filao, which will become operational in the end of this year. And that's a bottle-to-bottle, PET bottle-to-bottle recycling plant, and even more, food contact approved. So the total volume of material we will deliver over there will be transformed into a regranulative PET, which is food contact approved and which will be reintroduced into new bottles for packing drinks. So that's the second example. The moped plant. Today, PET tray recycling is very difficult. We get rid of the PET trays. They are recycled in the Netherlands, in France. But Moped is building a new plant in Belgium. And there we will have a tray-to-tray recycling application. So in a lot of cases, we reach the necessary quality to go into the same application, but that's not always the case. So you can go to other applications for plastic if necessary.
Thank you for those examples. For the next question, I'm going to turn back to Laurence. You explained the recycling data, and for example, you said when we have recycling rates over 100%, it's because part of the packaging has brought onto the market by non-members or bought by consumers abroad. So our members are asking those non-Fost Plus members, what is our approach to target those free riders?
Try to convince them to join Fost Plus. The team of Mick is working hard to tackle these so-called free riders, to have them on board and try to indeed convince them that they can have also a contribution. Again, I think we have sufficient data and sufficient obvious proofs to try to convince them. We know there are some companies that are more difficult to convince than others, but year after year we are progressing on this, so we have succeeded in making some companies join us, and for the other one we still try and we will be still trying. Of course there will be always some companies that won't be willing to join us, but that's for sure a very, very short and limited minority.
Okay, thank you very much. For our last question, I'm going to turn to Wim. We have announced during our event in December that we want to take on a role, that we want to incorporate litter management. Do we have any idea when any decisions will be taken?
I wish I could answer this question, in fact, but I can't today. But we're in close contact as we speak with all of our stakeholders within this trajectory, I would say, because we're in close contact with everyone we're discussing at the moment. But as I said indeed before, it's a package deal, in fact. It's an overall plan, and the litter management is one piece out of this entire plan. And so we want to convince everyone to make the step up in order to close the gap, as I explained before, between the 90 and the 100%. So it's work in progress. We're working on it very hard. I hope to give you a very clear answer very soon. But once we have the answer, we'll come back to you right away.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it in any case. So before we say goodbye, I just wanted to let you know that our activity report with all the data that we have presented here today is available on our website as of now. So feel free to browse, feel free to share. Thank you very much for having joined us, and we hope to talk to you again all soon, very soon.
Packaging is everywhere. It's convenient for transporting goods, and it keeps food well preserved. But after use, it has no value to you anymore. It's therefore important to sort packaging properly so that it can be recycled. In this way, we reduce the impact on the environment by using fewer new resources and saving CO2. Plastic packaging, metal packaging and drink cartons are collected as PMD. paper and cardboard packaging is collected at home, and glass belongs in a bring bank. Any packaging that enters the market is collected, sorted and recycled into secondary raw material for new products or packaging. This is what circular economy is all about. Companies play an important role by marketing packaging that is compatible with the recycling chain. In doing so, they must comply with strict Belgian and European objectives. Companies that bring a packaged product onto the market must therefore be responsible for the waste phase of the packaging. They take their responsibility by joining the collective system of Fost Plus. They pay the effective costs for selective collection, sorting and recycling of their packaging. The green dot rates per material ensure transparent costing. There are many stakeholders in this global ecosystem. Companies, local authorities, intermunicipal waste associations in the regions, waste operators, sorting and recycling centres, the Interregional Packaging Commission, and the consumer. Fost Plus organises and finances the entire process. The result is a uniform, efficient system for the 3 regions in our country. By working together, we make it easy for consumers to sort out waste. And every package that comes to market shall be recycled.